friends, my name is Seta Bansi and I am studying in standard 11th in Nalanda Vidyalaya School, Morbi. On this 4th January is considered as World Braille Day. It marks the birth anniversary of eminent scientist Louis Braille, who at the age of 15 invented a special kind of Braille system for the blind persons. It was recognized by the UN Assembly on 4th January 2018. So as I am studying in standard 11th, my topic on this 4th January World Braille Day will be what is kind of social attitude we should show towards the blind people and what things we have to do or not do in front of the blind people when we are in the company of the blind people. So let us know about those things.
To include the blind person in conversations, the most important thing is that you actually include the blind person in conversations. It's not a nice feeling to be excluded from a conversation or a certain situation whilst everyone around you is having fun and chatting away. There have been times when the blind people felt excluded. This happened rather a lot in school because people didn't know what to say to the blind people because to the blind people were the blind. There's no denying that certain situations can be harder for the blind and visually impaired people, as many of us can't see non-verbal cues or facial expressions, but naturally including the blind people in conversations rather than excluding the blind people. Don't ask the blind people, do you know who is this? The point I am going to add here is this is certainly not funny and it's very annoying. It can lead to blind or visually impaired people feeling uncomfortable and awkward. Having a vision impairment isn't some sort of game and it is not a joke. We don't want to play guess who. If the blind people have ever met them, then the blind people can probably tell who is the person by the sound of the voice. Just because the blind person can't see you, it doesn't mean that the blind people don't know who are you. Do introduce yourself. If you are in a meeting with the blind person for the first time and you have not talked very much with the blind person, then just introduce yourself and say who are you. You can simply greet us in the same way you would greet anyone else and say who are you. This can take away any awkwardness away and then the blind person don't have to ask who are you. If we include blind person in group conversations, then let them know their name to them by saying their name. This can be a huge help. Many of the blind people can't see who are you looking at, so this makes things lot easier for everyone. The blind people can sometimes be left rather confused as the blind people don't actually know it's me you are talking to. Simple things like this can make such a difference. Don't avoid using everyday language. Using words such as look or see is absolutely fine. The blind people may not be able to see, but I still say things such as I am watching the TV. It's a nice to see you or see you later. So don't be afraid of saying things either. Do talk to the blind people directly. Nothing frustrates the blind people more than when someone talks to the person the blind person is with rather than talking to the blind person directly. When the blind person out with a friend or a family member, people will often talk to the person the blind people with rather than talking to the blind person just because the blind person can't see. It doesn't mean that the blind people can't have conversation with normal people. Do not assume if you see a blind people or visually impaired person whilst out and about, don't assume that they need help. They are lost or do not know where they are going. Rather than assuming, ask the blind people, do you want help or not? You should never grab or touch the blind person in any attempt to help them. This can be scary and make the blind people feel disoriented. It isn't helpful at all. Having a vision impairment doesn't take away their ability to do things independently, and they do not always need help. There are times when they may need a bit of help, so it's better to ask before diving in and assuming that they need help. If the blind people are okay, then the blind people will politely decline your offer. Do say the words blind, visually impaired, or disabled. There you have go, I have said it. Society needs to learn and realize that these words are not bad in any way, shape, or form, so people shouldn't be afraid to use them. Using vocabulary such as differently abled is skirting around the matter in a way. These are no negative words, so why don't people use them? Yes, there may be cultural differences, but these words are known across the world. Don't sympathize. Feeling sorry for a blind or visually impaired person is often a sighted person's first reaction whenever they see them. But why? Sighted people often automatically feel sorry for them. They think that having a vision impairment must be terrible. Having a vision impairment has so many positives. The people that automatically feel sorry for them do not know anything about them. They see them long cane and just assume that they have a bad life. Someone may have a real reason to need sympathy, but otherwise don't feel sorry for a person based on the fact that they are disabled. You don't know them as a person, so there's no reason for you to make those preconceived assumptions. Don't change the way you talk to the blind person. Just because they have a vision impairment, it doesn't mean that you have to talk to the blind person any differently to anyone else. Please do not shout or raise your voice with them. Don't panic. Some people get into a big fluster when the word blindness, vision impairment, or disability are mentioned. They may also panic when we see a person with a guide dog or using a cane walking down the street, but there really is no reason to do so. The fact that the blind person are using a cane or having a guide dog isn't a barrier, it's their key to independence. Thank you.